And welcome to Self Love Lunch Break with me, Diana, your sacred self love coach. Thank you for being here today. I love these lunch break sessions, and I'm really hoping that everything goes according to plan today because on Tuesday I had some unexpected technical glitches which kept me off of most of my platforms. So yeah, let's hope for the best today. Everything seems to be running smoothly. You might see my eyes darting around the screen a bit, but that's just because I'll be checking in on everything, checking on comments, and making sure that we're still actually live. So, as I said, thank you for being here. Let's do lunch. Let's have a chat about all things self love. Today, what came to mind is being aware of yourself and maybe your pathologies or your habits that don't serve you well, or even behaviors in relationships that don't necessarily build the kind of relationship that you want, and taking that awareness one step further into action to actually affect the change that you want to see in your life. There's that whole thing that comes from originally from Mahatma Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in the world. And I love using it and saying, be the change that you want to see, even in your own life. Be the change, create the change. But how do we do that? The first step is definitely awareness. So becoming aware of your habits, aware of your speech, aware of your thinking, and that really is just the first step. It's a very, very important step. It is vital because without that, um, there is no route to change. One has to know what we want to change before we can actually change anything, or develop something, or strengthen something. Like take a skill that is already there and grow it, become better at it. So when I use the word change, it's not always meaning that things are bad and you want them to be good. It means things could be great and you want them to be better. How wonderful. So, yeah, the first step is so important. That awareness is so important. So, cultivating self awareness is vital. That sense of watching yourself in everything, watching how am I, how do I respond to certain situations? How do I come across in my communication? What do my habits look like, and what are the results I'm getting? How do they serve me? How does my daily routine serve me? How does my relationship with time and money and people serve me? So really digging in, and as I always encourage everyone to do, is really to dig in, get to know yourself, ask the tough questions. There are so many ways to do this. As always, I say get quiet once a day, at least once a day. Connect with your inner self, and then and do that how you like. I mean, I'm a big one for meditation. I also know that I used to run and get into a meditative space when I was running. So it's just about stopping that sort of compulsive thinking that we're always doing. We always have a million thoughts going through our heads. So it's about quieting that long enough to connect with our inner being. And then what comes out of that is so important. So there are so many ways to do that as well, like grabbing a journal and just sitting with yourself each day and maybe answering some questions that you wouldn't normally give yourself time to do during the course of the day because we get busy. We get busy with family stuff, with domestic stuff, with work, with that whole human being need to be productive all the time, as I speak about so often. So it's about taking that time to be with yourself and then to see what comes out of that. So ask yourself the question. Spend time reflecting. What came up for me? How did that work? Connect with your feelings in situations. So, so important is connecting with your feelings in situations. And I don't mean like there is a wafty, wishy-washy sense that comes with feeling, like, oh, I didn't feel like it, so I didn't do it. And I'm a big one for self-discipline. I'm a big one for commitment. So I definitely don't advocate just going with the flow, as in, I didn't feel like it. When you've committed to something or when something's important to you, because so often our senses, our physical senses, can be telling us a story that doesn't necessarily work for our inner being and for what we want to create in our life. So that's not the type of feeling I'm talking about. I'm talking about really connecting with your emotional body. So when you're in a scenario, be it a work scenario or a relation. Let's talk about a relationship. So, and any level of relationship. It could be a love relationship, a friendship, a family relationship. So when that happened, it could be a specific event. So let's say there was an argument. How did I feel in that argument? What were my emotions coming up? Did I feel angry? And then in this journaling space, in this quiet time with yourself, give yourself a chance to identify the emotions that were present. So let's say there was a bit of anger, there was frustration, there was a feeling of not being heard. Write all that down and then question further. What could it have been that triggered the anger? Because in any scenario, an argument is really just a conversation that's taken a detour, where people are not necessarily hearing each other or feeling heard or validated. So how did it become an argument? What triggered my anger or what triggered my frustration? Why did I feel that I wasn't being heard? Address those. That's the awareness part. So that's the really, really important first step, is spending time, quiet time with yourself, time reflecting, time questioning what comes up for you, how you respond to certain people, to certain scenarios, to certain events, and then observing patterns, because we all have patterns. So you could take one event, such as the argument that I just mentioned. So there could be this one argument, and you identify and become aware of yourself in that argument. So watching yourself, how was I in that argument? How did I get there? And then looking through your life and seeing what are the patterns involved there. So when else do I get triggered like that? Is it just with that person or are there other people? And what is my pattern relating to those triggers? Why do I get triggered by certain things? And is there a pattern? Pay attention. In your reflection time, take note of what goes on and what repeats itself. And so that's where you start taking your initial awareness and you start turning it into something that can become action that will affect the change that you want. Because from there, once you've identified feelings, emotions, you've identified how you behave, how you show up in that situation as a pattern through your life. So the situation could be different. So that argument could have occurred, let's say, with a family member, and you felt that way. But you could also see that certain work emails have similar impact on you and trigger certain things on you, and you end up in an argument in your head. That would form part of that pattern. So becoming aware is so key. Identifying patterns is so key. And then the next step is, what do you want to do about it? So very, very key here is, how do you want to be in situations like that? Who do you want to show up as? What version of yourself do you want to show up as every day in every scenario? And that's where the fun part comes in. So many of us find ourselves in moments in our life where we kind of have lost track of who we want to be, how we want to show up, where we're actually going. Are we living fully in this day, or are we just blindly carrying on with all the doing of the productive human, instead of some human being stuff where we're actually being and connecting with who we are? So the next step is definitely identifying, who do I want to be? Who am I? Who do I choose to show up as in my life? And that can run across all spectrums. Hello, Tanya says, wow, how wonderful. Yesterday I had someone that came to me with a situation and I was trying to help this person to tackle all those points that you just mentioned. Well, isn't that amazing how that works? Synchronicity, it's just incredible. So yes, so once we've seen all of that and we take the time to connect, it's about, who do I want to be? Who am I in my dream life? So that can be really, really simple 3-minute visualization. Picture your best self. Who do you want to show up as? And as I said, it can cover all spectrums. So physically, who do you want to be? Do you want vitality, health, fitness, strength? What do you want in your physical being? Emotionally, how do you want to show up emotionally? Who is this person? Who am I emotionally? Who do I want to be? Do I want to be friendly, open, outgoing? Do I prefer being slightly quieter, a bit of a listener, supportive? Think of all the aspects and all the emotions that you would like to feel on a daily basis as your ideal version of yourself. And the next step is on a mental level. So how do I want to think? What type of thinking do I want to have? Do I want to have a go-getter, winner, fast-paced thinking? Would I like to have a successful but slightly slower version type of thinking? More analytical? Who do you want to be? Really set yourself up, profile yourself, create a profile of your ideal person, your ideal version of yourself. And then comes the really fun part. And it's fun because it'll keep you on your toes. Commit to being that person. And what does that take? What does any commitment need in order to become fulfilled and to become, to actually take that idea of that vision of who you want to be and bring it into reality? That commitment requires action. So, and this is the part that will keep you on your toes. So commit to that version of yourself. Commit to being the you that you want to be. And that means triggers go out the window. Triggers no longer hold weight because in every moment it's about choosing. And yes, you will still be triggered. You're human. So it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. However, with practice, it will happen. What you're thinking. How do you think? How's your mindset? And catch yourself in the moment. And this is the part, I warned you, it'll keep you on your toes because you'll catch yourself so many times a day thinking thoughts that don't support that person, that ideal version of yourself. And there'll be times when you get tired by this and you kind of might want to shrug your shoulders and go, I can't stop that way of thinking. You don't have to try and stop it. Just shift it. Each time you notice it, shift it. Try a new thought. Try a thought that is better aligned to that person that you want to be, that ideal version of yourself in your vision. The same with your emotions, the same with how you're feeling. The I am part of you. So in my case, I am Diana. That I am is the part of me that controls my thinking, that controls my emotions, and that controls my actions. So I am the person lifting my arm right now, which means everything is a choice. And that I know is a tough one to swallow. We are raised on a firm, healthy, full diet of victim thinking and martyrdom in this world. Bottom line, that is it. Because if there's someone else we can blame, it makes it easier. If there's someone else or a situation we can blame, it's a way of getting out of who we really are. Well, self-love is not that. Self-love is full awareness. Self-love is full commitment, and self-love is taking the action to bring that awareness and that commitment to life. So there will be days when you just want to wash your hands of the whole idea and say, I'm just going to be me. Well, let me tell you, a lot of the being me when you're being lazy and making poor choices that don't match the vision of yourself, a lot of that being is actually not you being you. It's you living the conditioning and the programming that you've been picking up throughout your life. So awareness into action is a biggie. That commitment needs to be in place 100% to the you that you really want to be. Because that you is the you that will give you the life that you really want to live. And there's the key. Look around your life. How is it working for you? I'll tell you how it can work better. Be the version of you that matches the life that you want. So all those moments that come up, and they will come up countless times a day, you don't have to try and stop it immediately. There's already momentum going in a certain direction within you. You've been doing it for however long you've been on the planet. But it's about harnessing that awareness that you've created, connecting and staying committed to the vision of yourself that you have for your life and the life that you want, and then making those little adjustments. And it can be as simple as when emotions come up that don't feel right, acknowledging it, just acknowledging it and saying, that feels a bit crappy right now. And then there is another opportunity for reflection. Literally, pick up a journal. I've got mine next to me at all times. Go to the next open page, grab a pen, and take those few minutes to spend time with yourself. You would do that with any colleague that walked up to your desk. You would, back in the day when we were in the offices, we're getting back there soon. You would do that with someone in your family who comes up to you and asks you a question. Oh, can you help me out with this? Do it with yourself as well. So something feels bad, your negative emotion comes up, check in with yourself. Go into that journal. What just happened? What was I thinking? What brought those emotions up? How has my physicality been today? Have I expressed myself physically? Have I moved? Have I stood up from my desk in the last 3 hours? Little things. Just check in. Care. Care enough to take the action that's required in every moment in order to be the version of you that you want to be. Another thing, put your ego to one side. So when this stuff comes up that you are aware of, I actually had a little giggle with my hubby earlier because we were playing around, playing the fool, and we have so much fun together. And he said to me, "Oh, look at you, hiding your aggression with a smile," because I had called him out on something. And I had to admit that he was so right, because within me, I had quite a strong feeling towards what I was trying to say, but I was doing it behind a very big smile. And I said to him, "Yeah, you're right." And it's those moments where we shift, and it might be, as Tony Robbins says, 2 millimeters. But it's those 2 millimeters that can make the biggest change in the long term if you just keep making those little changes. So there's my encouragement for you today, to go from the first step being awareness and taking it into action so that you can be the version of you that you want to be, the dream me in the dream life. Because in order to get the life that you want, you have to be the you that lives in that life. So spend time with yourself, connect with yourself on a deep level, reflect, and then take those actions that are required to make the changes that you need. And they can be little actions, and acknowledge them. You could have taken one small action today. At the end of the day, pat yourself on the back, because that's one little 2 millimeter shift that you've taken. And every time you take it, it gets easier for the next time. I promise you that. And it's an amazing journey. Commit to yourself. Commit to that version of you that you want to be, and take the actions that will create the life that you want. I love you. That is Self-Love Lunch Break for today. We went a little bit longer because, on Tuesday when I couldn't speak to you all, all that stuff was bottled up inside of me. So here I am, sharing 20 minutes today. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comments what you think about it. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday, for another Self-Love Lunch Break. Ciao for now. Love yourself.